All right, we are good to go here. Let me just hit the reset and chop it up with the people. All right, here we go. Salute to Knicks Nation on this Wednesday afternoon. Another edition of KFTV Live presented by KnicksFanTV.com, man. Go to shop.KnicksFanTV.com for your latest KFTV merch. CP the franchise checking in live from Las Vegas, Nevada. And joining me today on this Knicks Fan TV Bleacher Report simulcast, this is our guy, man, KFTV family. He is the Knicks insider for SNY TV. Ian Begley joins us on the show, checking in from New York. Ian, how you feeling, man?
DP, I'm good, man. I'm good. It's always a good day when I get to hear my guy Sky Zoo, so that puts me in a good mood, and always a good day when I get to talk to you, chop it up with you.
Yeah, no question about it, man. And you certainly missed out here in Vegas. The Knicks beat is out here. A couple of familiar faces, but good to connect with you at least virtually because we got a lot to discuss, man. You know, the Knicks did go out there and get campaign earlier this week, but the backup center position, there's still a bit of a void there. What can you tell us in terms of the latest in that regard and Precious Achiwa?
Yeah, nothing all that new on Precious. They have been in touch, right? And so they have his bird rights. They could give him a bigger offer than pretty much anyone that would be interested in him. He does, I believe, have offers on the table from other contending teams. So he's got a decision to make. The Knicks could obviously increase their offer to the point where he can't say no. Obviously that hasn't happened yet, but yeah, they remain in touch. I think the Knicks would like to have Precious back, and Precious again has interest elsewhere, so probably will end up being his decision. But if the Knicks wanted to, they could make it their decision really and bring him back for a big number. I don't think we're there yet. Also, I don't think this will happen, but I just wouldn't entirely rule out sign and trade on Precious until you can rule it out, because
Yeah.
we're talking about trades with this Nick group. We're talking about the backup center. There's not a lot out there in free agency at the moment. And so where do you turn? You turn to the trade market. And so that's a tool for the Knicks if they would like to go that route.
Yeah, I was wondering if sign and trade is certainly a possibility, just given the amount of time that has elapsed, and we haven't seen anything in terms of him signing with the team. Now, when they signed campaign, there's a lot of speculation, at least amongst the fan base, that there could be another trade coming. Maybe it's McBride, maybe it's even Precious. Well, how did you analyze the campaign acquisition?
So I thought that they wanted another ball handler, like regardless of anything
Yeah.
else. I think they wanted another ball handler to add to the roster with campaigns, got the playoff experience. I think 47 playoff games over the last 4 years. With McBride specifically, look, I was told they did not want to put him in that Bridges trade that they had to augment to get out from under the first apron. They have told people this offseason they see him as more of an off-ball guard than an on-ball guard. They see him, best off the ball, but he can handle the ball when needed, when necessary. So I don't see a direct overlap with campaign, but you got to look at the numbers, right? Because is Thibodeau comfortable with a bench lineup of Payne and everybody that's coming back, DiVincenzo and Hart? And so you have to wonder, and McBride, and where does that leave McBride if not? And also, yeah, if you have to trade for a backup center, you have to give to get, especially because teams know where the Knicks are in this offseason. They know that they want a backup center. They need a backup center. So it's not going to come cheap, I don't think. I think it's going to be, you're going to have to move something of value, whether it's a McBride and a Chua and picks, and we'll see where it ends up. But it's going to be tough.
Going to have to pay to play, just as you said. And it would be tough to lose McBride, especially seeing the developments in his third year last year. I thought he was tremendous for this team, both in the regular season finishing stretch and in the playoffs. But I did look at this campaign signing as the Knicks doing what they do best, which is giving themselves options and giving themselves depth. And you just never know what move they might have to execute next. And it may cost them in McBride, but I, too, believe that they were always going to go with a veteran option here. A lot of the fans love Kolek. We liked how he looked, especially in the first 2 games as a distributor, but I don't think that was the Knicks' way to rely on a rookie in that backup point guard spot. Doesn't mean that he can't, surprise people and fight for minutes coming into training camp, but I think the Knicks wanted to lean on a more veteran presence there. Campaign, 9 points, 3 assists last year with Philadelphia, 38% from 3. He's been in big spots, and I think that's why they got him.
Yeah, I agree with you on Kolek. Certainly, he's got a lot of fans in the organization. That
Yeah.
was even before Summer League, so I'm sure everybody's excited about him. But I just think going into a year where you've opened up your title window, right? I don't think you can rely on a rookie from game one to fill in an important spot in your rotation. I think you have to go with a veteran. I think that's why they did that. That's not a slight to Tyler Kolek. That's not a judgment on what he can or can't be. It's just the reality of, everything has to go right for us this year or over the next few years. We are gearing up for a title.
On the backup 5 spot, potential trade options. M. Hamilton on the Bleacher Report app is asking, is Jalen Duren from Detroit an option?
I mean, I think that with Detroit, whenever you have a new leadership coming in, and that's Trajan Langdon in this case, he's not wedded to the draft picks of the last regime at all. And you often see like either the draft picks not get prioritized in terms of playing time or get moved off of. It's just a dynamic in the league. So yeah, Jalen Duren, I'm sure could be had for the right price. Isaiah Stewart, I'm sure could be had for the right price. It's just a matter of what is that price. And when you talk about draft picks with the Knicks, the only 2 picks that they can move right now are the picks that they have via trade, and it's Washington. And is the other first is Detroit, or am I lying?
Detroit are the 2
Thank you. Yeah.
protected. Yep.
So they're heavily protected. It seems logical to assume that they're going to end up as seconds. So they don't have like a strong first to offer at the moment. And I think that would handicap you in a conversation about a Jalen Duren or a Walker Kessler, one of these big guys who are still on their rookie deals. And it would take a significant amount to pry them out of their current situation.
Yeah, that's why I'm doubtful on a potential Walker Kessler trade, because it just seems like whether it's Kessler or even marketing, it seems like Ainge is more so testing the waters to see who's going to give him the price that he wants, and it doesn't really seem like he's as motivated to trade those guys. Other names, it seems like there's no market out there for Nikola Vucevic. You have Clint Capella out there. Those guys are making around the $20 million range. Do you see the Knicks potentially bringing in that type of salary to fill that backup 5 spot?
I mean, that's a bigger move because then you're talking about a Mitchell Robinson out or a Julius Randle out. And I mean, there's no other real salary that aside from, Hart or DiVincenzo that you would put in that deal to get it done. And so I know that they had checked in on some of those veteran, higher salaried centers. I don't know if anything had gotten anywhere, has gotten anywhere. I hesitate to speak in the present tense because things can change, every 5 minutes in the NBA, especially at this point in the calendar. But yeah, I think that they have, kick the tires on that option. And again, that would be a bigger trade with a Robinson or a Randall or somebody to make that money work. And the obvious thing with Mitchell Robinson is he has had injuries over the course of his career. Injuries have limited his time on the court. So this backup 5 to me is huge. You need somebody who can come in and start 30 games for you comfortably. And I don't know if you can't rely really on somebody who hasn't been tested, kind of similar to the backup point guard position we were talking about before with Campaign or Tyler Kolek. I think you need a veteran who's been through it.
CP the franchise, Ian Begley here on a Knicks Fan TV Bleacher Report simulcast. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and make sure that you are subscribing to the channel on YouTube and following us on Bleacher Report as well. Ian, just a reminder on the Zoom, if for some reason you lose my audio, just give me a heads up here and I'll send you another Zoom link. But back up to on the center spot, and when we talk about confidence in the rotation, what does that really say about Jericho Sims? I mean, Sims is going to be entering, I think, his 3rd year as well. They did pick up his player option. What does that leave Sims with the organization?
I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say the writing is on the wall because I wouldn't go that far with it, but the idea that they are, kicking the tires on these backup bigs, whether it's via free agency or the trade market, it kind of tells you where they are on Sims, and they don't see him yet as a guy who can come in and be that big of a presence if Mitchell Robinson goes down. If they did, you wouldn't be hearing about Walker Kessler. You wouldn't be hearing about, Nick Richards or other players. And listen, that's not to say that they're making a definitive move, but I believe what is out there on that stuff is accurate. And I'm sure if they've discussed those guys, they've discussed probably six or eight other guys. And yeah, so it just logically it tells you they don't see him as ready to move into that role. Look, maybe training camp shows them something different. Maybe the preseason shows them something different. Things tend to shake out early on in the season in ways we don't expect, but it seems like that's the way they view this right now.
Speaking on the contract front, Jalen Brunson made shockwaves around the league in terms of taking less money on his contract extension. Now, early reports are indicating that Mikal Bridges could be interested in pursuing the same path. Mikal Bridges is set to make $23.3 million with the Knicks this season, followed by $24.9 the next. What are you hearing on the Mikal Bridges contract extension front?
Yeah, that was my guy Mark Stein. And I wouldn't doubt it. I haven't heard that specifically, but it makes sense. Your top guy is setting a precedent here, and you want to win with them. You want it to be here, so you go and do what he did and help the team. It does make a lot of sense. I don't haven't heard specifically if he'd consider that, but I think that once you have your number one guy doing that, it's kind of hard to be like the number three guy and like, demand so much more than he's making. It can create a funny dynamic in the locker room. Not saying it would with Bridges and Brunson because they're already close, but like for guys like OG is making big money,
Yeah.
Jalen is not. I don't think it would create anything in that locker room. Those guys seem to have a really, really good just cohesion last year in the locker room. But in the NBA, you have seen where, guys are looking at money. They all know how much everybody makes, and sometimes it can cause a schism.
True indeed, but I look at the way Brunson is approaching this, and even Bridges and the moves that the Knicks are making. I haven't seen the type of synergy that we're seeing with this organization from top to bottom. I haven't seen this around the NBA in a long time. You've been covering this team for quite some time. I mean, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, this is everything, right? I feel like when things go wrong, you can always say, and it's always true, the management wasn't aligned with the coaching staff, or the coaching staff was not aligned with the players, and there wasn't buy-in from the top guy in the locker room. This is where things break down, and this is where if you're not aligned, you're going to struggle to get through a tough losing streak. You're going to struggle to get through like a rumor-filled trade deadline or a bad, playoff series loss. You're going to struggle to get off the mat from that because there's going to be, finger pointing, and not everybody's going to be rowing in the right direction, same direction. But here, Jalen Brunson, Tom Thibodeau, Leon Rose, and that's the through line, right? Rick Brunson on the bench. I mean, this is like it's almost like movie stuff when you step back and think about Rick Brunson, Leon Rose's first client. Tom Thibodeau was on the bench teaching Brunson about kind of coaching. And so now here they are again, trying to lead the Knicks to a championship. And yeah, the relationships I think are what are going to help carry this team through if they do get to the top of the mountain.
This NBA offseason has been dominated by the CBA talk. First apron, second apron, hard caps, things of that nature. Commissioner Silver did meet with the media yesterday, and he was asked by Howard Beck of The Ringer how he felt that impacted fans' understanding of the new rules. What did you make of that? Because I just felt like this whole offseason, we were all trying to learn these new terminologies and figure out how the Knicks were maneuvering.
Yeah, it's complicated, right? And I saw Adam had said like, you don't want it to be too complicated because you don't want to confuse the fans. And I understand that, but at the same time, like the fans ultimately care about what players are on the court. I'm not sure that you should curtail the system because fans don't understand it. I think you might want to curtail it because it maybe unfairly penalizes teams that are at that first apron, and they can't make trades where they're taking back more money than they're sending out, and maybe it's a little bit more punitive than it should be for the teams in that neighborhood, but I don't know about the fan aspect of it. I'm sure the NFL has some rules that are confusing to the average fan, but they're not going to change based on that.
Yeah.
I do think though, I really want to see where we are in 5 years because
Mm.
this makes the three-star team out, it takes them out the window, and it really puts an emphasis on your middle class players who you're giving those middle deals to. You have to hit on those and your draft picks. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that changes the complexion of the successful teams in this league.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it because it certainly gives the Knicks a great chance to be a true contender here, especially with the way that they are able to maneuver with the salary cap. You have players taking less money and Brunson looking to really turn this thing into a contender. So it's certainly an exciting time. Now, James Dolan was also in the news this week. Knicks owner James Dolan outspoken against the new TV rights deal, $75 billion TV rights deal. We're going to be seeing national TV games every night of the week. And James Dolan's contention was that, hey, we're a regional sports network here at MSG. We're spending big money here, and you're putting these national games on. It's taking less games. It's taking games away from MSG coverage. And he wrote a pretty scathing letter to the NBA. What's your take about it?
Look, man, I love Alan Hahn. I love Monica McNutt, excuse me. I love Clyde and Mike, obviously. So I want those guys to have games because
Yeah.
I really enjoy their work. But that's just from a consumer perspective. From a business perspective, look, man, if you could make sense of the economics in this world, media world, as we transition to more streaming and less linear. God bless you, because it seems like nobody has really figured out the formula
Yeah.
that works. I can understand why any owner that also owns a cable station, an RSN, would be upset. So, it just makes sense. But somehow, some way, this is going to get figured out with a balance of streaming and linear TV. There's going to be winners, there's going to be losers, and you could understand why James Nolan's upset about this dynamic.
Yeah, I can definitely understand, and I think he has a legit gripe. The Knicks are going to be spending money. They're going to be spending on tax eventually as well, and they're trying to put a good product on the court. Why should they suffer from having to share this revenue now with other teams who may not be making the same type of investments or those investments at scale? And so I think there was another report that the NBA is going to be receiving 8. All right, so we're going to reset real quick with Ian Begley. But as I was saying, I don't think the Knicks should be penalized for this whatsoever. And the NBA is stating is going to be reportedly getting 8% of this revenue from the new TV deal, which is a step up from the 0.8% of the deal that they received on their previous terms. So the whole thing is a little bit wonky. I think James Dolan is right to be upset about it. And we'll just see where it goes, man. But what do you guys think about it? Every night, a new national TV game, whether it's Amazon Prime, it's Netflix. You're going to have to check. You're going to have a schedule in front of you just to figure out where your team is going to be playing. So we'll have to see what happens, man. CB the franchise here. We're gonna get Ian Begley back on in a little bit. That's a little bit of a technical difficulty, man. KFTV Bleacher Report simulcast. Let's see who we got in here. Let me shout out Quincy Hardy, man, franchise channel member in the building. Welcome to the franchise channel memberships. Knicks are set to kick off on Summer League in just about an hour. So we will be heading over. I'm going to be heading over to the stadium in just a little bit after we sign off here with Ian. I'll be checking in from the stadium, and then we'll have our post-game reactions as well, live from the Thomas and Mack Center. All right, we got Ian back in here. All right, Ian, just as I was saying, man, thanks for joining us again. Just as I was saying, I feel like Dolan has a legit gripe there. He's spending the money. He's going to have to spend the tax. And, other teams might not be making those type of investments. So we'll have to see. I'm with you. It's a challenge now as people are cutting the cord and opting for these streaming services on how to ensure that everybody wins.
Yeah.
Tough call.
Ultimately, you have to go where the audience is, right? And
Right.
so that's the tricky part as this shift is happening.
Absolutely, man. Anything else on the Knicks offseason? Is there a move out there that you're curious about? Is there a player out there that's on your radar as it relates to the Knicks?
I would just want to say that Tyus Jones, they were in on him, and I think that they had a decent shot. So I'm curious to see where he actually ends up and what that contract looks like. Yeah, and as far as what's next, um, I'm with you. The longer the Precious thing drags out, it just makes you think that either he ends up elsewhere or it's a sign and trade because you should be at a place now where everybody knows where you stand and are we going to do it or are we not going to do it. So that to me is worth watching as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyus Jones still out there. He was making $9 million last year with the Wizards. But it seems like the market is shrinking for a lot of guys. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. had to go to the Milwaukee
Crazy.
Bucks on a vet minimum. I mean,
Crazy.
this is a firepower off of your bench, a capable starter. Seems like the
Yeah.
market is shrinking for a lot of guys.
Yeah, great get by the Bucks, but yeah, I mean, they're gonna look at this offseason and the first season of that second apron, and I just want to be a fly in the on the wall, excuse me, fly on the wall at Players Association meeting when they talk about the deals that guys had to take, what deals were not out there. I think there's going to be some unhappy players.
The Knicks are set to tip off in just about an hour against the Sacramento Kings in Summer League. We have some of the Knicks draft picks playing, or all the Knicks draft picks rather, this year playing in the games. Who's stuck out to you so far?
Kolek, man, Tyler Kolek. I mean, just the his floor game and the way he rebounds the ball, distributes it, takes care of it. I mean, he has impressed me overall. I think Dadier, it's clear, like the future, the vision on him is clear when you see just how he moves and his frame and what it looks like on the floor. So that I think is encouraging to see. This is not a knock on Kevin Knox at all, but I always hesitate to go too crazy with what we're seeing in
Yeah,
Vegas because the Knicks and Knicks fans I think thought they had a real
it's true.
real cornerstone piece in Kevin Knox, and it didn't work out that way. So, I don't want to draw too many strong conclusions. I want to say this too, not a Knicks thing.
Mhm.
The Bronny, look, man, if he's in a G League going back and forth for the first 3 guaranteed years on his deal, I think he'll be like an NBA player at the end of those 3 years, and I think the discourse around him is going to be different because he missed so much of that college season. He's not ready for the NBA, but if you put him in that developmental program where he's in the G League a lot, I think he's going to come out an NBA player.
I'm with you, and I hope so because the discourse around him I don't think is fair. It's such a rush to judgment. Everybody's rushing to see the impact. But that's also because LeBron has set this up to say, I want to play with my son. And
Yeah,
LeBron's window, even though he looks incredible, I'm watching him here with Team USA, the window is going to close. Father Time is ultimately going to catch up with him. So I think
yeah.
everyone is kind of rushing that Bronny thing so that we can see them on the court together in some way, shape, or form.
Right, right. Well, for the
Yeah.
Knicks, it's assistant coach and point guard. For the Lakers, it's superstar and a player who's going to be on the roster at some point.
Yeah. And then in terms of the Dadier thing, look, we have enough time to give him to allow him to develop. We've got a wing factory developing here, Ian. You've been covering this team for years. It's been a while. We've never had this type of wing depth in terms of Anunoby and Bridges at the same
Mm-mm,
time, especially since you've been covering the team. So yeah, you can bring Dadier in. You bring him into Westchester. As you said, he has size, he has frame, he has some skills that you can see potential in. We'll give him some time
Yep.
to bring it all together.
Yeah, and he's young too. So
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. There's no rush. Let's see what the development staff can do. I think there's been good results so far there. Some good results, some not so good results, but
Yeah.
they've molded some guys and they've helped some guys. So if you could do that, the 3 years down the line, whatever, and Dadier could be another one of those wings coming off your bench, that's not a bad thing.
Now you have Skapintsev is making a name for himself. Knicks fans are having high hopes for him to potentially take that backup or even a tertiary center role. He's been with the program for a little bit. Did get into the game for the Knicks last year when the center rotation was a bit injured. Any thoughts from on you or from the organization on Skapintsev?
The only thing that I know is, people are just thrilled for him as a person and thrilled that he's gotten to this spot, just another kind of developmental story. I think they plucked him out of not obscurity, but in a place where not a lot of teams, I guess, were seeing what they saw. And so here he is at this stage. I think just people are happy for him. I don't see a pathway for him to the number 2 center spot. Number 3, let's see what happens with Jericho Sims, and let's see how they maneuver to get that second center. But no, I don't see a pathway to 2.
Well, there it is, man. Ian Begley in the building. Definitely appreciate all the time, man. How does the rest of the offseason look for you as we kind of dwindle down a little bit?
Look, man, they figure out the backup center thing, hopefully, and then I got some time off coming in August and gonna just relax with the family. I can never put the phone fully away, but I'm gonna try to just keep it a few more feet further from me than usual in August. Well, we'll see. Look, you never know. I mean, it could trades around the corner, so but I'm looking forward to hopefully a quieter August.
Yeah, man. Well, we'll be looking forward to it. We'll be tapped in. And we'll be looking for all the updates, man, whether it's a putback from Ian Begley, you and Honda Sports Night, your tweet to it. We're always sharing and keeping the family abreast on the latest and greatest of the orange and blue, man. Ian, thanks again for the time, and we'll tap in soon, man. Thanks again.
DP, sounds good, my friend. Enjoy yourself out there. It's always great to be with you.
Yes, sir. Once again, that was our guy, Ian Begley, on the check-in. Like, share, and subscribe. Hey, all signs of the Knicks backup center position. We'll be on the lookout. No updates as yet. We'll just have to wait and see where things go. What do you guys think? Leave us a comment in the comment section. My guys on Bleacher Report, thanks again for tapping in. My guys on Facebook, YouTube, you already know what it is. Family, appreciate it. Who we got in here? Let me shout out on the Facebook. Vinny Baggs says, yo, CP, send me a hat, brother. Vinny Baggs, salute to you. Tom O'Gara in here says, bring Precious home. One organization, one team, one cohesive vision. Anthony J. Lopez Colon, up with a backup 5. Hey, we're still waiting. Is it going to be Precious? Who's it going to be? I don't think it's going to be guys like Apron Sengun. Don't see a Jalen Duren. Don't see Walker Kessler. Knicks just don't have the assets to get those guys. I'm not so sure those guys are going to be readily available. Those are young talents that still have a long way to go to greatness. K-Dot, appreciate it. All my franchise channel members, go ahead and throw an emoji in the chat. I'm going to get ready here to shift gears, throw my Summer League polo on, get over to the stadium, and get ready to tap into Knicks Kings, and then I got to get to my sports business classroom work, man. So I will tap in with you guys on the post-game show later tonight and let you know my takeaways on the Knicks Kings Summer League Spectacular, man. First rule of Summer League is it's only Summer League, but you always know we're going to overreact to everything. So make sure you guys tap in, like, share, subscribe. You already know the vibes. Shout out to the Replay Gang. Also, remember that this show's available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. And I'll catch up with you guys later on, man. CP the franchise from Vegas. I'm out of here.